This interview series is an opportunity to sit down with different cool people like you, a chance to listen and learn your journey and experience, to share with the audience an understanding of the hard work that you all have been doing lately. We know that you're not sitting still in this moment. You've been very active, and I know that you have many wonderful stories we would love to take in. And we want to learn and celebrate your contribution to the deaf arts community as well. Now, to start us off, I know that you recently produced A Raisin in the Sun, written by Lorraine Hansberry, a production now unfortunately postponed due to COVID-19.
That's correct.
I do hope that you're able to host that production again soon. How did you decide which play to select? The cast looks amazing. Why is this story still relevant?
This was an important play which was written and produced in the 1960s. It was also a major hit on Broadway during that era. Lorraine Hansberry was an extraordinary playwright and received distinguished awards for her work. As you know, we all want that American dream. And it doesn't matter if you're poor or rich, we all have the dream of wanting something better for our lives. Today's African American families may be affluent or impoverished. If they are impoverished, they still strive for the American dream, which is to improve the lives of their families and live in the best locations possible. Written in the 1960s, we can see those types of events still happening today. The play is timeless. That era will continue to be with us in a timeless space forever. This is a perfect play to perform for the deaf community. Although the play was not created or produced by any deaf company, A Raisin in the Sun is still a classic and extremely popular. There are a host of people who are familiar with this play. So we propose the idea that Visionaries of the creative arts, Voca, should produce this play. And that is exactly what we did.
I think it's great that Voca has been doing this work. Now, I'm wondering what planted the seed to start this project? Where did you get your first taste of creativity?
Are you referring to Voca?
No, or just in general, your artistic expression?
I have always been fascinated with the theater, whether it's writing or producing, acting, or even directing. I find that working behind the scenes has been my thing, too. That is just the artistic side of me. My creativity comes from my passion for communicating with people. I have always desired to express my thoughts, feelings, and even my life's journey through a creative lens. This assisted me in producing and developing my own body of work. I've been acting since I was young. Later on, when I was much older, I felt led to form my company, Onyx Theater Company, in the early 90s in New York City. That was the boost I needed to get my creative juices flowing. That was what I needed personally. I truly also needed and wanted to focus on the deaf community. I needed something more out of life. Hold off and rethink the work I had been undertaking with Onyx. I can remember wondering what else could I do. My creative side felt it would be best for me to move back to Los Angeles. There I became involved in the Deaf West Theater and several television shows. Consequently, I started my own thing and produced my one-woman show. That show stretched my creativity and artistry to the max. I am an innovative and creative thinker, so I tend to develop ideas and projects that are creative and artistic.
Did you see that?
Oh, I see it. My cat did that.
Oh, no, it's fine. Hi.
As luck would have it, I became pregnant while residing in Los Angeles. But I must tell you, having my child was a blessing. My son is now 13.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. After that, I was fortunate enough to be able to move back to Washington, D.C. While in D.C., I missed theater life. I began contemplating if I should move back to Los Angeles. Ultimately, as fate would have it, I stayed in Washington, D.C. The main reason I stayed in D.C. was for my family and due to the number of deaf people and friends. I continued working and directing in the arts and have now been here in D.C. for over 12 years. On another note, my former partner, Rick Graham, and I produced a production that received rave reviews. It was called Insight and Sound Live Deaf Poetry. We brought both deaf and hearing artists together to produce this poetry. What was unique about it was hearing artists would interpret deaf artists' poems and deaf artists would interpret hearing artists' poems. It was marvelous. We also had deaf dance troupes, individual dancers, and a deaf DJ. My former partner and I produced that show for 3 years. And it's ironic that just recently, my former partner stated that we should bring back Insight and Sound live deaf poetry. I must inform you that that is indeed in the works for the near future.
I think that's a great idea.
I worked directing several plays at the Model Secondary School for the Deaf, MSSD, for 2 years. Then, as luck would have it, Gallaudet asked if I would direct a play. That play was A Raisin in the Sun, which led me to the formation of my own company, Visionaries of the Creative Arts, Voca. And here we are.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I recently saw the video interview that you did for The Pearls, where you talked about seeing someone on TV for the first time and asking your mother about it. Would you mind sharing about that story?
Absolutely. Her character she portrayed was extremely a powerful one. I also told my mom that I had fallen in love with her body of work. After asking my mom who that lady was, my mom stated that that was Miss Cicely Tyson. That was the exact moment I became aware that I too wanted to become an actor. I was involved in several theatrical ventures. During one of those ventures, I was able to meet Miss Cicely Tyson in real life while living in Los Angeles. I met her through Tavis Smiley, a famous radio personality. I had an appearance on either a radio or television program, and Tavis Smiley interviewed me regarding one of my one-woman show. He posed the question of who was my most favorite actor. Of course, I stated Miss Cicely Tyson, and Tavis Smiley stated that he knew her personally. He also stated one day possibly he could introduce me to her. I was elated. On one day, I received a call from Jeffrey. He stated we needed to return to the Tavis Smiley show. Of course, I wondered why, but we did return. As we approached the Tavis Smiley show grounds, there stood the full cast of Medea. If I recall correctly, it was the cast from the family reunion. There, standing in front of me, were Tyler Perry, Blair Underwood, and several other cast members, including Miss Cicely Tyson. All I could say was, "Oh my God." Miss Tyson and I hugged each other and snapped a picture. Of course, I still have that photo to this day. I informed her that she was the reason I wanted to become an actor. Miss Tyson stated, "That's so sweet."
I think it's not often that we see many members of the African American or Black communities on stage at the same time, well represented. And it's frustrating to see that there's not enough stories out there. It's very limited. There's A Raisin in the Sun and others that you have produced. Why is it important to tell these stories in a way that is truly representative?
The reason is that we have several stories to share. Who will know who we are as African Americans if we do not tell our own narratives? It is our responsibility to tell our story. Exactly how stories are selected is based on those with similar experiences to my own and how they relate to me. For example, if our deaf perspective, culture, and experiences are similar to a particular production, we will follow through with that production. It does not matter if the cast in the production are deaf or hearing, it is about the culture and its people. I'm only looking at the parallels of the life experiences being portrayed in the production. I would like to see more people of color, especially deaf and hard of hearing people of color, produce and create some of their own personal works. They should not just want someone else to create something for them. They must roll up their sleeves and become creative.
Yes. And people don't realize that their stories are valuable and important to share because people tend to undervalue their own stories. No, your story, your journey, your lived experience made you who you are. And I'd like to follow up on something that you said about writing and wanting more. I want to recognize that you wrote a one-woman show entitled
Yes, I did. Yes.
Reflections of a Deaf Black
Deaf Women.
Woman. Yes, right. An important body of work. And I think that it's an important thing to share your story. And I know that in creating that piece, you absorbed content from the world around you, that it's not focused solely on your own experience, but it's representative of a larger community.
Exactly.
How did that happen?
If I recall correctly, someone from Gallaudet University asked me to be involved in an event on campus and needed me to perform some of my work. At that time, I did not have anything prepared, but I had previously written a body of work regarding the life experiences and struggles of Black deaf women. This piece was about 20 minutes in length. I just told myself to expand this to a full-fledged one-woman show. This show could be expanded to a 90-minute, 1 hour, or even a 2-hour show. At that moment, I became busy typing, writing, reworking, editing, and the show became a complete one-woman show. This one-woman show includes 2 African-American women, a mother and a daughter duo. The daughter is from the new generation and the mother is from the old generation. They both have experienced different eras and their view of life is extremely different. However, at the same time, their life experiences are indeed similar, even though they are from different generational backgrounds. They both discuss their experiences regarding relationships, rape, oppression, and just the mere fact of how they both dealt with the idea of womanhood. They also discuss how they dealt with the world as the world deals with African American deaf women, and the mere fact of being deaf, Black, and a woman. We are facing 3 barriers. It is complex and inspiring at the same time. I performed my one-woman show in the Los Angeles area in the city of Burbank. The show was phenomenal and attendees packed the house. The show also received rave reviews.
If there were people out there who were interested in producing your play, would you be willing to do that?
Yes, sure.
Well, Deaf Spotlight will keep that in mind.
I do possess a DVD of the show.
Oh, okay.
It was just a simple filming of the stage production. However, if you're speaking about a DVD of the show that contains all the theatrical angles, close-up shots, that I do not have. I would have loved to have that. That could only be accomplished without audience involvement. That would have been great.
One day. All right, we'll keep that in mind. Would you like to talk about who your role models are?
Absolutely. I have a long list of role models I can name, beginning with my mom. When I was young, my mom supported me 100%. My mom never stated, "You can't do it because you're deaf." My mom was always right there with me every step of the way with her support. My mom even had a friend who was a director of a children's theater group here in Washington, D.C. My mom introduced me to the director. She stated that her daughter wanted to become an actor. I was about 10 at the time. The director stated, "Sure, go ahead and audition." I did, and I was enrolled in the group, and the rest is history. If it had not been for my mom, I would have not known any theatrical group here in Washington, D.C. Mom always pushed me in the appropriate direction. I will always look up to Mom.
From your bio, I see that you got a bachelor's degree and, as the only deaf woman in that school, in drama studies from the State University of New York at Purchase. Later, you went on to get your master's degree, forgive me while I review my notes, a master's degree in organizational management, specializing in organizational leadership. Do you feel that your life experience has been applied in your leadership studies and beyond?
Yes, definitely. My journey to the State University of New York was amazing. However, at the same time, there was struggle with obtaining interpreters. There was a continuous struggle with acquiring sign language interpreters. The university did not know how to acquire sign language interpreters. The first year at the State University of New York was extremely frustrating, but by the second and third year, the university got it together. I had a fantastic time at the State University of New York. That experience assisted me with becoming a stronger person. I now could step back and acquire a different perception of how my life was after graduating from the State University of New York. That challenged me as an African American and as a person striving to obtain an MA degree. This happened in 2015, about 5 years ago. Truth be told, I did begin my studies in the MA program majoring in deaf education, but somewhere along the line that was put on hold. I never finished that program. That was the time I realized that was not truly what I wanted to do. However, I did decide I wanted an MA degree, but could not decide in what field of study. Would it be in film? Did I want an MFA in theater? I finally decided on organizational management, specializing in organizational leadership. It would provide me with the skill and knowledge needed to lead an organization. I would also understand the visionary perception and skills needed of what cast members should know when performing their job. That was perfect. And the decision was made to pursue a master's degree in fine arts, specializing in organizational leadership. After that, Voca was born. I now realize it made perfect sense.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, because what happens often, as is true for myself, is that we try different careers, not realizing the right one until you look back. Because of your experience and your passion, you just keep going. And as you go through life, you add more and more skills to your toolkit.
Yes, that is correct.
And I didn't realize that I could be a leader until much later in my career, because I just wanted to give back to the community. And then I realized, once I looked up from everything that I'd been so focused doing, oh, wow, I am a leader. And how cool. It's nice that you can apply your experience directly to your work at Voca. I really look forward to seeing what you do with that in the future. In looking over what you have accomplished, wow, it is a lot.
I didn't realize that.
I mean, you're basically a trailblazer. And like you said, you're just doing your thing, and then suddenly you stop and realize how much you've done, and still thinking it's not enough. But you have done so much. So as a trailblazer in the deaf arts community and as a role model to the entire deaf BIPOC arts community for sure, in 2017, you were recognized with the Laurent Claire Award from Gallaudet University for your social contributions to the deaf community. Wow. How did it feel to get recognized for that?
It was indeed an honor, and I was proud of what I had accomplished. To be honest with you, I was surprised that Gallaudet University would bestow that honor to me. Although I was surprised, it felt exhilarating. I also felt grateful to be recognized for my work and contributions made to the deaf community as well as the arts community. It's nice to be recognized. Again, I'm extremely grateful.
Do you have any advice for young people who look up to you and may want to pursue a similar path?
Are you asking what did I learn from that experience? All right. What I noticed is that my present body of work had tremendously improved from my previous bodies of work. It is important to stay the course and not allow anyone to tell you that you cannot achieve your goal. You are the only person that knows yourself and who you are as a person. Follow your path and your dreams. Again, stay the course.
What is your next project?
Yes, I have a long list of upcoming projects in the works. I have so many, I don't know where to begin. Of course, I want to get back on track with our production of A Raisin in the Sun. That is the place where I'm a bit laser focused in completing that project. After that project is completed, we will focus on the meeting, This is a play written by Jeff Stetson. This play is about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X engrossed in a deep philosophical discussion related to the civil rights movement, their own philosophical theories, and ideals regarding life. This takes place in 1965 in a hotel setting. It will be interesting and exciting to have deaf African American actors perform the roles of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. To see it in sign language would be amazing. This play was written in 1987. I want to do that next. I am also looking for new original bodies of work that involves deaf culture and amazing characters to fulfill my professional dream for Voca. However, personally, I have several projects I would like to complete. I must continue working and developing my TV pilot. I started it, but have let it sit for far too long. I need to get back to it. It's hard. It's just too difficult right now.
It's a process. Yep. Share your advice.
There are several projects that are presently on my plate. I would like to author children's stories, write plays, and so forth. But I must step back and take this one day at a time, letting the Lord upstairs guide me.
You know, right now, COVID-19 is impacting everyone and everything. The arts, businesses, companies. The performing arts is suffering. How can we support the arts and artists like you?
We need to continue to support each other through our creative work, with our donations, or just even provide a call or a shout out to say hello and that we're thinking of you, or even write a nice note.
Yes, and I'd like to applaud Deaf Broadway for the production that they did this year. They brought in all of that deaf talent, and that's not the kind of thing you see on TV or movies yet. And thanks to the internet, a production like that is possible. I hope that it brings more work opportunities for those involved in the future.
Right, I agree.
Following up on the Onyx Theater, like you said, there was a lack of opportunity for the deaf BIPOC theater community to get involved. So you brought folks together and you created it. Where did you get that idea? I'm talking about New York.
At that time, I was a senior at the State University of New York and working for Ken Nixon at the theater company called Amaryllis Productions. They had an internship component. At that time, I was casually speaking with Ken regarding my own personal goals in life, regarding wanting to see more people of color in theater. He stated, "Do it." I responded by, "What do you mean, do it?" I was only 20 years old at the time. What did I know about forming a theater production company? He stated, "I will assist you." At first I was reluctant, but with the assistance from Monique Holt, Chris Smith, Lindsay Dunn, and a number of others, it was done. It was such an extraordinary experience, a wonderful journey. I am often asked why I chose to close my Onyx Theater Company. I often tell them I just wasn't feeling it anymore. Something just wasn't right at the time. I'm also often asked what's the difference between Onyx and Voca. I reply that there is more support here in DC with Voca. I also informed everyone that I was not setting up this company alone. I needed their support. When I was assured that support would be ongoing, Voca was born. This time I had the right people supporting the company. They were all in 100%, not just 50%.
I wonder, at Voca, your approach to your theater productions is that you involve both deaf and hearing actors, right?
Yes, I believe that the hearing and deaf can work together artistically and effectively. We can both learn from each other. We can exchange cultural ideas, and if we work together, this will foster additional audience participation, and that equates to additional funding. We obtain additional creative ideas when we include persons from both the deaf and the hearing worlds. We continue to bridge that gap between the two worlds. We are all human beings. If one happens to be deaf or happens to be hearing, that's quite all right. If some of the cast happens to be black or white, that's all right too. It's about being human beings. I respectfully believe that anyone can work collaboratively together, and that's my own personal philosophy.
I think that's wonderful. It's frustrating to see so many theater companies not considering accessibility or consider hiring deaf people of color on their creative team at the level of director or producer.
That is correct.
We tend to be only actors or consultants or sign masters. How can we change that?
The purpose of Voca is to become a role model. Others will note that we have deaf and African American artists. There are those that may want to emulate our model, and that's Vocas Dream. Voca focuses on a model that would assist with changing the thinking of others about deaf actors. They should realize that deaf actors can do more than just act.
Yep. For anyone who's interested in learning about acting or directing, where can they start?
Those interested in the field can enroll in classes in their local area. Next year, Voca will provide classes and programs for adults and a summer camp for the youth. This will be a place participants can gain experiences, knowledge, and training. If someone states they live too far away, they may have to take classes closer to their home with their hearing counterparts. And again, that's all right too. There may be a question of whether sign language interpreting services are provided. That too must be worked out.
In your experience in TV, film, stage, have you seen a difference between mixed deaf and hearing dynamics versus an all deaf dynamic?
With the deaf community, it's more about family, collaboration, love, and culture. In a mixed hearing and deaf group, we have to educate those regarding what needs to be done. At times, we are reserved a bit, but as time goes on and everyone warms up to each other, by the end of the production, we have that strong family feel. There are different types of people involved in the production. It also depends on the energy of the cast.
So you started as an actor. You got a degree in drama. How did you get into directing?
I enjoy watching how directors direct on stage or movies or films. My first experience with learning how to direct was with Zinabu Davis, director, and her husband, Mark Cherry, who wrote the short film Compensation. I met Zinabu Davis in Minnesota. Zinabu asked me if I would assist in rewriting and adapting the short film to include a deaf character with a deaf perspective. It was an amazing experience to see how the character transformed. We sat down together and discussed how to adapt and rewrite the script to change the character's concept from a hearing perspective to a deaf perspective. When it was time to film, we met in Chicago and stayed there for 3 weeks. Watching Zinabu incorporate all our discussions related to light set design, reworks, and adaptation to the film was pure genius. Now that was directing.
A natural curiosity to learn new skills. Very cool. So we've had a really great discussion and we've covered all of my questions. Of course, we've only just scratched the surface of your vast experience. I want to thank you for sharing your stories with us today. And now at the end of the interview, I like to ask all of the artists a series of short questions. What's your favorite sign?
This sign, Glosstas OIC, I'm not sure if that is the sign I prefer, but that is the one I utilize the most.
What's your least favorite sign?
The sign glossed as "I guess so" is my least favorite. I find myself always asking, "Are you saying you're not sure?"
What's your deaf bing?
Ushers who work in a theater are always using the gesture that means it's time to leave. 20 minutes later, ushers are still making attempts to usher the deaf patrons out of the venue. As you know, deaf patients can chat forever, and it can seem like they never want to leave.
That's funny. What talent would you like to have?
I think I have it all. Just kidding. But let me think about it a minute. I think I would like to improve my artistic talent. I have always wanted to improve my drawing skills.
Hey, it's COVID-19. It's an opportunity to learn new skills.
That's true.
But first, write your storybook.
And that's exactly right.
What word or emotion would you like people to remember you by?
People will say I had a glow and that she looked so happy and had a great personality.
That's beautiful.
I also feel they will say that I inspired them.
Yes, and you inspire me.
Thank you.
You do. I didn't realize that Onyx was founded in New York. I had no idea, not until I read up on it. And that really just goes to show there's not enough publicity online. There's not enough out there, and we need more of that. So again, I'd like to thank you for participating in our interview today.
Thank you so much.